Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 21 of the Detroit Lions franchise here on Madden NFL 21. Today we're going to recap this season as well as go through the playoffs and reach the Super Bowl. Take a look at some awards and some stats. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content here on the channel. Now this episode is going to be kind of broken up into three parts, so I'm going to start off with the live commentary part. And then we're going to go through the playoffs, and then I'm going to end with another live commentary. So I'm talking to you guys live now. So far, we finished this year 7-9. You can take a look at the standings right here. Got off to a slow start. Still stayed in the division hunt for basically the whole season. But the Packers finally decided to wake up in the second half of the season as they won their final 8 games and won the division. So we finished 7-9. Which means we missed the playoffs and we go into the draft with the 10th overall pick. So not a bad consolation prize as we dropped our last 2. Well, let's take a look at actually our schedule, see how the season unfolded. Obviously, you guys have probably watched all the episodes, so you should know how the season is unfolded. If you haven't, playlist will be at the end of this video. Well, let's take a look at our team schedule. Starting off with the regular season, we lost our first matchup at home against the Bears 31-27 and a pretty explosive start to the season. Then we won a come-from-behind victory in Lambeau Field against the Packers 43-39. Kenny Golladay is an absolute monster, which we'll look at his stats, but he helped us win that game. And then week 3, we beat the Cardinals in Arizona 23-21. If you remember, Kyler Murray got hurt in that game, so that helped us out tremendously. So we got off to a solid 2-1 start, and then we kind of just fell apart. Week 4, we lost at home to the Saints 24-20. Saints only lost twice all year, so the fact we played them pretty solid is a good sign. But then we had our bye week, and then after our bye week, we lost 3 games in a row. First at Jacksonville 27-24, and then at Atlanta 27-24 as well. And then we lost at home against Indianapolis 26-21. All 3 of those losses, we choked a fourth quarter lead, and then we dropped to 2-5. And then in week 9, we beat Minnesota in Minnesota 31-27. We were actually down by 21 going into that fourth quarter. So it looks like we were going to drop another one, but we actually came from behind and won that game. Then in week 10, we beat the football team 16-13 before getting beat down for probably our worst loss of the season up to this point by the Panthers 34-13. Then we come back on Thanksgiving and win an absolute thriller at home against the Texans 29-28. Somehow got down the field, kicked the game-winning field goal to get that victory. And then we went back to Chicago, and in the second meeting beat the Bears 28-14. They had Mitchell Trubisky in this start, and we were able to beat them pretty handily. And then week 14, which at the time was for basically the NFC North, we choked another late lead against the Packers and lost this one 45-34. So plenty of choke jobs this season. And then in week 15, we actually won in overtime in a thriller at the Titans, who are the worst team in the league, 29-23. If you remember that game, they were coming down the field to win in overtime, but we actually pick-sixed them. Desmond Trufant took it to the house. And then we end up losing to the Buccaneers 34-16, and then lose an embarrassment at home against Minnesota to end the season 35-24. So we dropped 3 of our last 4. And end 7-9, so not the best way to end the season. But let's go take a look at the stats now. Everybody likes to look at the stats, so let's go take a look at the stats. Before we go jump into player, look at the team stats that pop up. We had 5,721 offensive yards, so 17th in the league, 26th in the defense, points scored 13th with 402, and then points allowed 28th with 438. So the defense needs plenty of work. Let's take a look at the player stats now, starting off with the passing stats. Matthew Stafford, 4,064 yards, 31 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. 33 years old. I thought Stafford played pretty well. All set in 4th, former number 1 overall pick. You know, he probably will be our quarterback for the foreseeable future. He's still a pretty top player when healthy. He actually had a full season this year for the first time in a while. And he had relatively his best year in a long time, as you can take a look at his stats here. 31 touchdowns, most picks since he was 2013, but he had his most passing touchdowns since 2015, and his most passing yards since 2017. So Matthew Stafford still has plenty to left. If you want to look at his contract, he has 2 more years. And then after this next year, it becomes a little bit more friendly. So at least one more year of Matthew Stafford. We'll have to see what happens, but I'm happy with him going into next year. In the run game, it was a two-headed monster. Became three once Kerryon Johnson got hurt, but he came up 12 yards shy of 1,000, 989 yards, 5 touchdowns for him. Solid back, very young, former Auburn Tiger. I like him more of the power back role, and DeAndre Swift played more of the third down passing back role. But Kerryon Johnson had a nice season, his best season by far, obviously his most production as well. And happy with him. Speaking of DeAndre Swift, the rookie had 509 yards, yet did not find the end zone this season on the ground. And he did have star dev, so DeAndre Swift has a nice future here. Like I said, I want him to be that double back with Kerryon Johnson for the foreseeable future. But Johnson did go down, and we did sign Adrian Peterson to fill his place. He played a little bit down the stretch, and Peterson played phenomenal. 35 carries, 238 yards. It's a 6.8 average. Had 3 touchdowns. So Adrian Peterson trying to show that he's not done. He is a free agent, obviously we signed him for the rest of the season, so I'm not sure if he will retire. I wouldn't mind maybe bringing Peterson back, so to speak. It depends on how much he regresses. But I also want to give Kerryon Johnson some role, so I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with Peterson, but you can see his stats here. Had one phenomenal game. Look at that. 15 carries, 149 yards. Peterson showed that, he had some stuff. I want to see where he does in this offseason. Stafford had 147 yards on the ground, rushed for 1 touchdown. Then a couple of players on reverses. Amendola had 9 for 19. Ty Johnson got involved, 2 carries for 12 yards. Maybe somebody to look out for in the future. Young man out of Maryland. Kind of plays that role that Swift does if Swift were to go down. Jones 7 for 9. And then we had a tight end reverse. Hockenson got 1 for 2. Receiving yards, Kenny Golladay, 91 catches, 1,260 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Absolute monster. Continued his upward trend. As you can see his ratings right here, absolute beast. 97 catches having, 95 spec catch, 95 catching. You can just catch anything. Take a look at his stats. He's continuously gotten better. His best receiving yards matched his touchdowns from a season ago. Thank goodness we re-signed him this past season. And, it was a pretty hefty deal, but I think it's worth it considering Kenny Galladay's trajectory. Next up, we have Danny Amendola, who had his best year of the season. 73 catches, 933 yards, 10 touchdowns. Very good play out of the slot. He is 35. He's not re-signed. But, depending on his digression, I wouldn't mind bringing back Amendola for next year. Take a look at his stats. By far, his best, output. His best yards, his best average per catch, his best touchdown. He averaged a touchdown every 7.3 catches. That's pretty impressive. So Amendola was very valuable out of the slot. We're gonna have to look wide receiver if we don't replace him. Another wide receiver, Marvin Jones, 47 catches, 508 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did get hurt, but he's still a very good player. He's not re-signed, however. He wants 4 years as of right now. I don't think he's worth 4 years since he was kind of the 4th option in the offense. If you can count behind Amendola, Golladay, and Hockenson season. Yeah, he was over 100 twice, but didn't really just have the output. Plenty of 1-catch games, plenty of 2-catch games in there. Don't know if he'll be brought back, so it might be to look at wide receiver. Tight end DJ Hockenson, 54 catches, 540 yards, 3 touchdowns. Probably a little lower than what I've liked for a young tight end like him, especially since we ran a lot of 2 tight end sets. Still a very young, promising tight end, can catch the football. Maybe needs to grow in some areas like route running and stuff. But he had a solid campaign, better than his rookie season. And the other tight end we used was Jesse James, who caught 7 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. For 2 tight end sets, he didn't get a lot of volume, but I think he is a good backup tight end. He is signed for, a lot. If you look at his contract status, 6-7 mil for the next 2 years. So might have to figure out what we want to do. Don't know if I want to run as much 2 tight end next year. So Jesse James could be a cut candidate for that contract if it's cut friendly. We'll have to see what happens with Jesse James. A couple other, John Allison had 13 catches for 192 yards and a touchdown in relief of when Jones was hurt. He's also a free agent, however. Kerryon Johnson 16 for 63. Marvin Hall had 2 catches for 35 yards. Peterson had 2 catches. Bryant had 1 catch. And then DeAndre Swift had 56 for 456 and 2 touchdowns. So he got his first 2 touchdowns through the air. Let's go to the O-line real quick. Take a look from left to right, starting off with Taylor Decker, who gave up the most sacks on the team, 10 sacks, 75 overall. This line does need a lot of work, in my opinion. He is 27, very good pass blocker, which is interesting that he gave up so many sacks. He is re-signed. We did re-sign Taylor Decker, however, so not going to be able to get away from him for the next 2 years. Gave him a pretty hefty contract. I don't want to give up on him yet. He does have that star dev. Maybe we can work with him. Plus, it's hard to find a lineman in general. So I thought giving him that would be helpful. Left guard was Joe Dahl. He didn't play very good as well. Gonna have to upgrade him at some point. Give up 8 sacks. Just not that good of a guard. This line is not that great. Center, our best player, Frank Ragnow on that line, 83 overall, star dev. Give up no sacks all year, apparently. Still young, has plenty of chance to grow a top 10 center in the league. And I think we did. I think he's good for, he's good for next year. He's got 3.75 mil. Then his rookie contract's up. That's right. So that'll be something we have to look at next year. On the right guard, it was Ode Abushi who started most of the year. Very weak on the guard spots. Got hurt. So we ended up turning to Jonah Jackson, the rookie out of Ohio State, who played okay in his little bit of relief. But even he got hurt at some point. Jonah Jackson might be the starter next year. I want to give him a chance. I don't know if he's the future, however, because he's still very low, still has plenty to develop, but we're going to have to look at what to do there next year. I think Abushi is a free agent as well. And then right tackle is by default Vitae, just because he got paid an absurd amount of money last year. I don't know why the Lions did that. I mean, look at his contract. It is ridiculous. 10 mil basically the next 4 years. For some reason, he gets 8.4 in 2022, but so he's on the books for a while, so it's not like we can move on from him. He gave up 9 sacks as well. It's not even that good of a player. So I don't know what to do on the right tackle spot. I hate to just sit there, but I hate to have that dead money. The other option would be Tyrell Crosby in relief, who I thought about turning to at some point this year. Basically kind of on the same boat as Vitae, so not really sure which one I'd like to go with. But maybe be a battle in preseason next year. Now on to defense. Starting off with the line. We'll start off with the line, guys. And if you talk about line, you have to start off with Trey Flowers. 16 sacks this year. Played absolutely phenomenal. 88 overall, and he's got a morale boost, and he's only 28. So Trey Flowers wrecking havoc into the quarterback. I think he tied the NFL in sacks this season. So very good. How long is he signed for as well? Okay, he's on the, oh my gosh, they paid him 20, 23, 26 mil. That's insane. I didn't know it was that high. Don't know if he's worth that much, but Trey Flowers, wow. Okay, well, he's on the books for a while, so hopefully he keeps up that production. Another line guy, Deshaun Hand, he had 10 sacks, also had a couple roughing the passers, if you remember. He's another solid guy to build around this. So this D-line looks pretty good for the future. I was happy with his production. And then another rusher who surprised is Romeo Okwara. He had 11 sacks and not as many snaps. Not Julian, the rookie, but Romeo. He had 10 sacks. So very good. He doesn't even have the best finesse moves. He has pretty good power moves, but definitely worked his way into a rotational piece for the future off the edge. Maybe if we can get Trey Flowers inside, have Romeo Okwara on the outside in nickel downs. And then the last guy we had on the line was Danny Shelton. He had a sack, 22 tackles. Caused a little bit of disruption. Probably didn't stand out as much as he should have, but he's also a strong guy up the middle. Just kind of blows up the middle. If he eats double teams, it allows Trey Flowers to get through. It allows Romeo Okwara to get through. It allows Deshaun Hand to get through. So while his numbers might not be that great, he definitely contributes. Move on to the linebackers now, starting off with Jelani Tavai, who led the team and the league with 167 tackles. That's a lot of tackles. So, 24-year-old out of Hawaii. Despite the fact he led the league in tackles, he definitely has a lot to work on, including his zone coverage. That's one area I want to improve on. We saw the Vikings in the last game especially just tear us apart over the middle with their tight ends and stuff. So I'd like for Tavai to maybe get another nickel linebacker, but he played well in run defense. The other nickel linebacker was Jalen Reeves-Maben. I think he tied the lead, or tied the Lions. Sorry, in interceptions with 5, but he's a free agent, only 66 zone. I doubt I want to bring him back, at least right away. So despite his 5 picks, definitely looking for another middle linebacker. Other linebackers were Jamie Collins, who had 8 sacks. Kind of used him as more of a edge rusher kind of guy, which I don't think a 3-4 really fits Jamie Collins. I think he's more of a middle linebacker. He has better coverage than both of our middle linebackers, 72. His man is 66. It's not as good. And he's 84 speed. He's going to digress, I know that, but I'd like to, maybe utilize him more. Maybe if it's, in base, put him on outside backer, and then at nickel, put him in inside linebacker. But I don't think his strength is, pass rush on, third downs. So I like to maybe get him more involved next year. And he had 8 sacks, so that's still very good considering where he played. Another linebacker, Gerard Davis, who we re-signed to a 2-year deal. Former first-round pick out of Florida, hasn't really lived up to his hype at all. But didn't want to give up on him yet. He didn't play that much, I know, because we played a lot of nickel and he sucks in coverage. Yeah, he only had 35 tackles. And does it show his snaps here? No, it does not show his snaps. But I know he didn't play that many snaps. We'll take a look at his snaps right over here. So where is he at? He had only played 354 downs, but didn't want to give up on it yet, so he is signed for 2 more years. He is a good run stopper. For his position as well, but that 53 zone just makes it hard to keep him on the field in passing downs. And then the last linebacker we used is Christian Jones. Had 21 tackles, saw him get hurt for a little bit. 30 years old. He did fracture his elbow in that last game too, so he is out for a while, but obviously that doesn't matter. But don't think I'm going to bring back Christian Jones. I want a new outside backer. He's decent speed and tackling, but the 3 big ones, block, shed, finesse, power, and even zones stink. So probably want to move on from Christian Jones this offseason. Is he signed for next year? He is, so might want to look to trade or cut Christian Jones. And then lastly, we'll go to the secondary, starting off with Desmond Trufant. Tied the team with 5 interceptions. Obviously came over from the Atlanta Falcons. Played very well. He had a huge clutch interceptions in that Titans game, taking it back to the house, winning us the game. Still has very good cover stats. 91 speed will decrease, however. I know that because he is older. And I think he did have he had his most career interceptions this season, so still flourishing. But he is under contract for next year for a hefty price. So does depend on how much he goes down. I assume he'll be around next year, but $12.5 million is a lot to pay. The other corner, Justin Coleman, we'll get to Okuda in a second, but Coleman was their number 1 corner. Played slot as well, kind of all over the place. Only had 2 picks, but had the most pass breakups on the team. 92 man, 87 zone. Yes, that's influxed by morale, but still, it's a very impressive corner. How much is he getting paid? He's getting paid 11.5, so that's $24 million between 2 corners. That's a lot of money to put in your secondary, and he's on the books for 2 more years, so that makes it hard, and we might need to put that cap towards other positions. And then the other corner, Jeff Okuda, the rookie out of Ohio State, number 3 overall pick, had a phenomenal year as well. Definitely improved a lot, got to 81 overall. And he covered a lot of the big receivers. Like, we put him on Mike Evans, we put him on Devontae Adams, Adam Thielens. Like, Okuda didn't play just the 3rd, 2nd best receivers. He played a lot of the big ones, and he came in with 3 picks. So I think Okuda played very well for a rookie season. He would be my vote for Defensive Rookie of the Year, but I don't think he'll get it. And then go to the safeties. Jerron Harmon had 113 tackles, 2 picks. He played good. He's a very good all-around safety. Coverage-wise, his stats are still pretty good. I think he is a free agent this year, so Might let him test the market. I would like to bring him back, but I don't want to bring him back for his asking price right now, especially, since he will probably degress since he is 30. But had 2 picks, familiar with Matt Patricia's system, could be back. And the other safety, Tracy Walker, strong safety out of Lafayette, Louisiana. 26-year-old, played very good. He also has good cover stats. And one thing I did think about is moving him, if we don't bring back Deron Harmon, to free safety. I think he has a better skill set for free safety, especially if Harmon decreases, because another strong safety we have who didn't get a lot of snaps is Will Harris. And I think Will Harris, kind of deserves a chance. 25-year-old, he's got 73, 72 zone, 90 speed, good hit power, plays a good strong safety mold in my opinion. 6'1" as well. So I'd like to give Will Harris a chance maybe in preseason, see what happens, and if he plays really well, maybe move Tracy Walker to free safety. But plenty of options in the secondary. And then TJ Moore also had an interception to back up free safety. That was kind of cool to see. Doesn't really factor into my long-term plans, but good for him. Kicking, Matt Prater, 28 for 33 field goal wise, missed 2 extra points, had that horrible game against Arizona. But no, I think it was Jacksonville. He had a terrible game. But other than that, he played very well. He is re-signed for the future. And then punter Jack Fox, 26 inside the 20. He played good. He had some bad punts too, though. So maybe could be a battle to watch in next preseason. But that does it for the player stats. Take a look real quick at the team stats. Obviously, see offensively, total passing yards. So we saw the offensive yards earlier. Passing yards sit towards the bottom of the league. 3,800 passing yards. Rushing yards, probably closer to the top. Yep. And then points per game average 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then defensive passing yards. 1. Give a lot of these. Towards the top. And then rushing yards. Towards the bottom as well. Sacks, though, did lead the team in sacks, 54 in the league. So that does it for team stats, and that'll do it for the end of the live comm section. So I'll see you guys for the playoffs. Now, before we get to the playoffs, I actually forgot to show the NFL leaders. So here we go, starting with passing. Matt Ryan led the NFL in passing yards, 4,911 yards, the former 2016 MVP, followed by Tom Brady and Drew Brees. So the top 3 all came from the NFC South. That is a highlight through the air division. Then we got Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Cam Newton, Jimmy Garoppolo. Leading the way in the passing touchdowns is Drew Brees. He had 45 passing touchdowns. That is a lot for a career year for Drew Brees. And then Dak also had 40 touchdowns. Leading the way in interceptions, however, was Jimmy Garoppolo as well as ours, Matthew Stafford, with 19 apiece. And who had the least amount of interceptions actually played some games? Looks like it was Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott with 5 interceptions. Dallas Dobbs had 4. He played a little bit when Minshew got hurt, but he didn't play nearly a full season. Leading the way in the rushing department is Ezekiel Elliott. What else is new in Madden? 1,600 yards, followed by Christian McCaffrey. Then we have Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, a pair of NFC North runners, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, Marlon Mack, Damian Williams, and James Conner round up a 1,000-yard club. Leading the way in touchdowns was Nick Chubb with 16 on the ground, followed by Damian Williams with 13 and Kareem Hunt with 13. So Cleveland Browns, the top 2 of 3, averaging for 29 touchdowns. Fournette also had 13. Receiving yard leader, Julio Jones, 1,500 yards. Devin Funchess led the league in receptions with 115. You would think that he would be leading the league in drops, but he had the most receptions. Good for him. Other 1,000-yard carriers or receivers, Courtland Sutton, Michael Thomas, Cordell Patterson getting up there, followed by Kenny Golladay rounding out the top 5. Followed by Mike Evans, Cole Beasley, Devin Funchess, Chris Godwin, a couple of Tampa Bay Bucks up there, Sanu Davis, Odell Beckham, Brandon Cooks, Willie Snead, rookie Justin Jefferson with over 1,000, Amari Cooper, Julian Edelman, Zach Pascal, Calvin Ridley, and Chris Conley are your 1,000 yards in that club. Mike Evans and Amari Cooper both led the league with 13 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, the rookie out of Oklahoma, at 12, representing the 88 pretty solidly this year. And there's Michael Thomas and Humphreys at 12 as well. Leading the league in sacks allowed, Garrett Bowles, George Fant, couple of tackles. Rookie Cam Robinson, or not rookie, young Cam Robinson up there as well. Leading the league in tackles was Jelani Tavai, 167 tackles, led by a good majority, 22 over the next man. Sacks 16, Chandler Jones. I don't know why Madden won't fix this glitch, but Trey Flowers also had 16. But you know, don't expect Madden to really fix their glitches. It's not something that they know how to do. You got a couple of other multi-sack guys: Shaquille Barrett, Aaron Donald, Calais Campbell, all up there. Leading the league in interceptions, Adrian Amos, the safety from Green Bay. Bryce Callahan led corners with 6. C.J. Henderson, the rookie out of Florida, had 6 picks of his own. Kicking and punting, not really going to take too much of a look at. Let's take a look at if there were any special teams returns, however, starting with kick returns. As there's a couple guys with 1, Cordero Patterson, Joe Reed, Deion Lewis, TJ Logan, Marquise Goodwin, and CeeDee Lamb all took a kick return to the house. And there was 1 punt return. It was Jarvis Landry. So that does it for your stats. Let's move on to the playoffs. Before we get there, I have one more thing to do, and that's talk about Matt Patricia. He went 7-9 this year, was already on the hot seat. And now the more I think about it, I think we're going to go with a fresh start. We're going to fire Matt Patricia. Just didn't get it done here in Detroit. And we'll be looking for a new coach going into the 2021 season. Let's take a look around the league at some other firings. Anthony Lynn's gone in Los Angeles. Griffin Murphy, the interim coach in New England. And Mike Tomlin got fired from the Steelers. That's a very interesting one. He's obviously going to be a hot candidate. Might have to take a look at him ourselves. Mike Zimmer of the Vikings is gone, as well as Bill O'Brien in Houston. So pretty bad Black Monday around the NFL. Now let's finally take a look at the playoffs. 2 teams you won't see on the schedule, Saints and Chiefs. They're your top teams in each conference. And then looking at Wild Card Weekend, we got Jaguars, Bills, Battle of Ohio, Browns at Bengals, followed by Broncos, Colts, Buccaneers at the Seahawks, Giants at Packers in the Sunday night game, Falcons at Cowboys. That should be a good one, to say the least. And now that I'm looking at the runtime, we're already at 27 minutes. I know I said I'm going to do a playoff sim in this episode, but I think I might push that back to next week. If I don't, this video is going to run super long. It's already run long enough, but that'll be next week. So we're actually just going to end it here and start off with the playoffs and the Super Bowl next week. We'll get through both of those next week. Still have the stream next weekend. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.